can you tell us your name and a little bit about yourself?
My name is Leonard Lawrence of Port Talbot. Anything you ask me, and I'm telling you, or I will tell you. I don't tell you what other people do, I tell you what I did. I'm now 80, I will be 82 now in July. I tell you what I did, not what others do. Or, in other words, I tell you what others do to me, but not what I do to them. My teacher asked me when I was about 9, he said, what are you going to be in life? I said, I'm going to be a carpenter. And he said, you never be, and I said, watch me, follow me through my life, I says, and I proved that. I have built it. I have built it. I've been in roads, shores, lakes, heavy timbering, colleges. I built them all since I've been here in 1960.
The British wanted people to work here, and because their people wouldn't do the type of work that we would do. So that's why most of us Jamaicans, when they came here in the late 50s or early 60s, that's how it was. The country wanted more people, and that's the way we came here.
You came to work.
Yeah, we came, yes. They couldn't get enough people to work, see, so.
So they opened the Caribbean
They
Islands for
opened
the
Caribbean Islands for the people to come over to work. Because, you know, the British people, they don't want to do this and they don't want to do that.
Well, I was an artist. They offered me coming over. I was selling painting in my shop. So I used to sell to British people. I had a lot of friends, like from Cornwall, and I had another lady. I ended up married her. She did start promoting me before I come in over this country. And I had another promoter called Field. He lived in Cardiff. He was my first promoter when I come in. I did work all over Wales. That is the way, because I'm an artist, that's why I'm here.
That's why you're here.
I came over from Jamaica specifically to do my nurse training in 1972. So that's when I started nurse training, 1972.
Why did you choose nursing?
Because I care about people. I've always wanted to be involved with people. I like people, and I also care about making people better. Before I came nursing, I was working as a clerical officer with the Kingston and St Andrew Council. And if somebody got ill or injured, I'd be the first one there trying to do something to help them. And that's when I thought, well, I don't know what I'm doing, so it's good to go and train and do something that you want to do, that you're interested in. So that was what I wanted to be.
I had an uncle and a brother here. My uncle I left Jamaica when he was 19, and he settled. He was working on the ships, and he settled in Port Talbot, and we never knew him. So my brother came to Manchester, and then he found him and come to Port Talbot, and I come to join them. Have you passed Port Talbot Town Centre?
Yes.
That's one of my construction. When I say my construction, I take most of the responsibility in building it. I was sent there to do the building work because I was a general foreman. Down on the Towie River here, in 1961, I was doing the bridge there. I'm a builder, and I come here to work, and that's what I am.
We all work in hospital.
Do you still work or are you retired?
You're retired now, then.
Retired
now.
for that.
Oh, days are.
What was life
Nursing's
like
gone.
working?
Huh?
What was life, what was it like working?
Well, in the beginning it was a bit hard, and you couldn't understand some of the things, and they turned the nose up at us. But after a while, you get used to it, and you get, what to expect, and you just fit in, and do what you can. And said, I'm not putting up with that. I used to be, you know. No, I'm not putting up with that. I'm just another human being like yourself, and if you're going to carry on like that, I'm going to report you. So I learned my job as much as I could, and when they start messing me around, I said, you can stop there. I'm not putting up with it. And I walk off, and then I go and report you to the nurse in charge. But whatever I do, I made myself the, what I could say now, of getting to do it to the best of my ability. That if anything goes wrong, they can't come and point a finger and say, Hall, you didn't do it well, or you didn't do it that way. I try to practice what I was taught in the classroom.
I was a student nurse, obviously, and then when I finished my training, I worked in accident and emergency in Neath Hospital. Then when I changed to come to Morrison Hospital, I worked in intensive care, and I was in intensive care, the neurosurgical intensive care, dealing with people with head injuries and tumours and anything to do with the head, with the brain really, and the spine. And I worked there for 25 years. And then I went, I had promotion and I moved then to another job, which was in a department called maxillofacial surgery. Again, to do with the head and neck. So people with problems with their teeth or their jaw, if their jaws were out of alignment, like, you know, not in straight lines. So that was the last 8 years of my working life.
But I couldn't get used to the language or the way of speaking, you know, because we spoke plain English or patois, whatever we call it, you know. But they were here English, and then a bit of Welsh dropped in at the same time, you know, and you thought, what are they talking about, you know?
The people of Wales, they were very friendly, but coming from a place where you don't necessarily ask a lot of personal questions, I thought maybe a little bit intrusive. But now I've got like that myself. So.
We find the Welsh are very inquisitive. Nosy.
But I think it's just because they want to get to know you. You know, it's not meant maliciously. It's just to get to know people and their backgrounds, and also the part of Wales I came to, they didn't see a lot of black people, so I think it was just interest.
No, because it was our native,
we don't have any
native
other
language
in Jamaica. It's all English.
Yes, it's our native language.
English.
But there was what we call patois, which is broken English. Come here, where
Come
you
here,
go?
where you go?
Behave yourself, boy,
Yeah.
and things like that, you know?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Boy, I can listen to it forever. I wish you would say more. I love it. When I go to London, that's all I want to listen for in the bus.
The patois.
Oh, yes. Oh,
And they
yes.
go, what you looking at?
Yes.
What you are look
I
at?
just stare when there, and
Yes.
then one girl went like, what you looking at? What you
Yes.
staring at? I'm like, sorry.
And my boys, I got two
Yeah,
grown-ups.
Yes. Broken English.
Yes.
Yes.
I got two grown-up sons now, and in times gone by when they were younger, you know, and they do something and I get into temper and I started talking patois and say, Mom, calm down. We can't hear, we can't understand the word you say. Oh my goodness. I go up and say, my patois, and they do, calm down, Mom.
What I love about Jamaica is also the fruits, the variety of fruits, the beautiful sunshine, the lovely sea, the clubs that we used to belong to. We used to go swimming every Sunday morning at 5 o'clock. You know, and that was like 3 miles away from where we live. But we used to walk and then get back in the back of a pickup truck or something like that. So it was just great fun, great fun.
For me, I grew up in Trinidad, and I think what I can remember about it was just the community. You felt part of a community, even from 4 or 5 years old. You felt that you belonged to a community. Everybody knew your family, everybody knew you. And it just felt comfortable, you know. And in Trinidad, we had so many different races. We had the Negroes, the Chinese, the Indian. So you ate everybody's food, and it was just comfortable and nice and warm and hot.
It was very nice. It was free. We had where I was born was right by the sea, so we could just go on the beach every day. We could go and pick mangoes from the trees. It was just very, very free, very, not like today where you have to worry about your children playing outside. We played outside and it was lovely. Then when I moved from where I was living at the beach, we went to live further inland, and we had coconut trees, avocado trees, orange trees, cocoa from which you get chocolate. We had cocoa trees, oranges, grapefruits, bananas we grew. It was very nice.
Favorite memory of Jamaica? There's so many.
Yeah.
I think I don't suppose I have a favorite, but there were some lovely ones. Like, I didn't grow up with my father, and my father lived up in the country. And when I go on holidays, I used to go with my sister to the river, just to wash the clothes in the river. But that was miles. It just seemed like ages to get there. But just, walking to the river, picking mangoes on the way, and carrying the mangoes with you and stuff like that. It was just great fun.
Yeah.
In Jamaica?
Yeah. And America. Which one's better?
What?
No.
Go outside and pick a mango off a tree, right?
Oh
I
my
can't.
God.
I
love mango.
Option. It's not. I can get guava off the tree in my backyard. I can't do that.
I love guava.
Oh, I do have apple trees in my backyard, but it's still not the same. So I can't compare America to Jamaica. Jamaica's a beautiful island in the Caribbean. America is so big, and
When I went for the interview in Jamaica to come over to train to be a nurse, they asked a lot of questions about how will you manage the food. And they said, well, they eat a lot of bland food and a lot of potatoes and things like that. But when I came over, I coped fine with the food. Obviously, it wasn't as spicy as we have our food, wasn't as seasoned, but it was okay. We managed. I was among other overseas students, so we used to, because we lived in the nurses' home, we used to cook our own food. And therefore, there were people there from other parts of the West Indies, Africa, Malaysia and Mauritius, and they were cooking. We were all cooking in the same small kitchen in the nurses' home, so we learned from each other, so we picked up bits from other cultures as well.
Not long after we were married, I started having problems with heartburn and everything. And we did an investigation into it, and we found that whereas my mother, typical British person, bland cooking, my body wasn't used to the spicy cooking. It took me a while to acclimatise to it, but I'm all right now, still alive.
But in the 70s, they weren't used to a lot of spicy food.
When you come to Swansea, it was only potato, swede, things that you could get. You asked for anything from West Indies and you couldn't get it. There was one guy, I think, at the end of Water Street, Port Talbot, that you can get ethnic minority food with. And when he had it. Once it goes out, you gotta wait again until it comes in.
The food.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, completely
food.
different.
No
Oh,
food.
completely different.
Potatoes, ain't
Only
it?
potatoes.
And the potato.
And when I started here first, and I was working in the hospital, and every time we go for meal, and I said, I started crying, not potato again, not potato again.
Potato and veg.
The elderly used to me. She said, well, you let your son eat sunshine to come here. It's your fault. But after a while, you know, you got used to it.
You got used to
yes,
it after a while.
Either chips or mashed potato or boiled potato, you know, and you think, oh, not potato again, but you made the best of it.
Okay.
Yes, and I used to cry when I was living in the hospital, and I used to cry when I go, oh, not potato again, chips, mashed potato, boiled potato, not potato again.
We used to get tin yam in Donovan.
Yes, in the early days.
Shop.
In one of the shops in town, you know,
One
we used to get
shop
tin yams.
in town.
Or there was a one in the square, we used to get green bananas. And when the it's in the shop in Chidzoy, everybody would phone around, oh, come on, there's bananas and yam in Chidzoy, and everybody everybody would be there. And we used to get ackee, and we used to get ackee in a tin, and saltfish, you know, we used to buy in the shop, in the market, yes, in the market. Oh, so whenever that is on the market, we'd phone on everybody, tell one, Tara tell Tara, and we'd phone on everybody. Yes. But you know, you gradually get used to what there is, and you adapt to it, you know, because cooking was a bit different, you know, because we are so used to the different ingredients and the different food, and it's only potato you could have. Chips, boiled potato, mashed potato. And there was a shop in the market. We used to have lamb neck, so we look forward to that, and vegetables for soup on the weekend, you know, when all the family's home. So.
The weather here, I've got used to it. Having lived here for so long, I've got used to it. So the weather doesn't really bother me that much now. I don't like the cold. I still don't like the cold. But the rain I can cope with. Let me just tell you a little story. When we were living in the nurses' home, the other overseas students and myself, we used to stand by the door waiting for the rain to stop before we went out, because that's what you did in Jamaica, because you have very heavy rainfall, so you wait for it to stop and then you go out. But people said to me, no, we don't wait for the rain to stop in this country. You just get your mac on, get your umbrella, and out you go.
Oh yes, we miss the climate, especially when it's winter. You wish you were back in warm climate, and but after a while you get used to it. You know how to dress to suit the weather, and you just, you know, just match into what's going on.
No, I had a little bit of trouble with the weather. I was shocked because first that in the first house I arrived, I see they had chimneys. I had to ask my friend, oh, what's that, what is it for? He said, no, that is because things like that, oh, you only got it in Dominican Republic or Haiti, only in the bakery was they baking bread. And they said, no, in the winter time, every single person has need something like this to keep warm. And second shock when I was here, and then I was feel uncomfortable. I didn't know what happened. I just one day, and a friend of mine, Mark, said to me, oh no, I need to put more clothes on. I didn't know I had to put clothes on. Yeah. And then since then I end up overdressing all the time. Even sunny, I always got a little jacket. You don't know me, but I always got jacket. Today you don't see, but yesterday often I got 2 pairs of trousers on. And a lot of clothes because I still feel cold.
So this is the island of Jamaica, and Jamaica is an island in the Caribbean or in the West Indies. And do you know anything at all about Jamaica? It was discovered by Christopher Columbus shortly after he discovered America. And Christopher Columbus was a Portuguese sea captain who was sponsored to go on his travels by the Spanish king and queen at the time. And when he got to Jamaica, he thought it was another part of India. So that's why it's called the West Indies, whereas India is in the east. This is the West Indies. So this is Jamaica. It's got 3 counties, Cornwall, Middlesex and Surrey, which are British names. So a lot of our places are British names. And the place that Christopher Columbus landed was called Discovery Bay. But around that area, there are also some Welsh names, because after the Spanish left the island, the British took over. And there are some Welsh places, like, for example, there's a beach called Cardiff Hall. There's a place called Llandovry, which of course we didn't know how to pronounce it, so we never said Llan, we said Llandovry. And there are other places with British names. So that's the island of Jamaica.
It's roughly about the size of Wales. But when you think about it, if she hadn't applied for that job, we would never have met, and the future, you know, the children wouldn't have been born, the grandchildren wouldn't have been born. How things have changed, you know, because she just decided to apply for that job.
Yeah, because I was working with the parish council in Kingston.
Oh, not sure that one.
So that's one of the early photos of Rob and me.
Very, very early.
Yeah, but yet when we came, we didn't.
They did not acknowledge us, so they, you know, a lot of them. Even now there is prejudice.
Yeah.
Even now there, and that will never die out.
No, and we do
just
anything,
because of the color of our skin.
Yes.
It will never die out.
And we do all the work because we're so accustomed to work in the West Indies for a living that when we came here, we did whatever work was there for us to do, and you will be independent of it. And most of them were jealous of us after a while, because I remember my late husband saying to me that he used to do scaffolding on the buildings, and he had a argument with one lad there one day, and he said to him, "You West Indians, especially Jamaicans, you come here with a suitcase on your back and give you a couple of months, you got big house with a car parked in by the door." They said, "Yes, we
work for it.
Work for it.
We work for it.
Yes.
We didn't sit down and wait for the dole or to give us something. We get out and work in all weathers.
And we don't go pubs and
yes,
clubs.
Drinking.
There wasn't anything overt, which means open. It was more quiet, I suppose you could say. People used to stare a lot, but then they used to stare at me as a black person in a white person's world. But when the two of us got together, they stared even more.
It was very bad when we came, because the first thing we understand that no black man was supposed to have a pint of beer. I drink it in the pub. So we had to change that. That's where we start Swansea Committee for Racial Equality. I started as a Caribbean ethnic minority group. And it went on 1982 to the changes in Swansea Committee for Racial Equality. Started that because sometimes there was a lot of fighting in Port Talbot, black against white. And I say I take no part in it. I wanted a voice. The voice we wanted was to start a community working spirit, and that's what I did. Started that from 1962, and it's still going on in Swansea.
Was it hard to adapt to the culture in the UK?
In some circumstances it was hard because the only thing you could get to eat is potato. And did a lot of things, but you couldn't get no West Indian food to eat. You couldn't get a house to rent from the council. So we changed that. We had to change that. If you are a citizen and you employ for a house, and you're entitled to one, and you know you don't get the entitled to take the council to court for them to tell you why you didn't get it. And the same a job. We changed that. Because of the Committee for Racial Equality, we changed that. And we changed the police. You apply for a police job, you take the police. The police set out an advertisement for people to join the police force. So long as you are entitled, you got the qualification, then you're entitled to get a job anywhere. So long as you got the qualification, not only place but anywhere, those are the attitude that we change. And that was what the Committee for Racial Equality did.
Like I said earlier, the food, definitely. There are many more restaurants of different nationalities here now than there were when I first came. Lot more people of different races, different colors. When I used to come to church in Swansea, you didn't see many black people. I wouldn't say the only, but most of the people of different color that you saw were the students at the university. So the culture has changed as well. There's a lot more mixing of the cultures than there were when I first came.
Up until 1979, I was here. I came here in 1961 to do the Tower Bridge. And you walk miles through Swansea. It's only one like me you could find. Couldn't find about one else. But since 1979, it started to change over. And now you got 85 different cultures in Swansea. Swansea has changed a lot. 85 different cultures that live in Swansea now.